Hello and welcome to Meiji and Poppy's Kitchen. Today is Poppy's birthday, so we're going to make a gluten-free caramel cake. He asks for a caramel cake every year, which normally it's really easy to do. The caramel frosting is super easy, super delicious, but I've always done just a yellow cake for him, but he's recently been diagnosed with celiac, so we have to do a gluten-free cake. I have never made a gluten-free cake from scratch, so if you're watching this, it turned out delicious, because if it's not really good, I'm not going to post this. Alright, so I've already got some things in the mixing bowl. I have got, sorry, you have to look, 1 3/4 cup sugar, 3/4 of a cup of oil, 4 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla. Then she says a teaspoon of cake batter flavor or more vanilla. Well, I went to look for cake batter flavor and I could not find any in my grocery store, so I put just about 1/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract and 1/4 of a teaspoon of butter extract. I just thought that sounded good. But if you need to, just use 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So we've got that in the mixing bowl, and she says to mix that for 2 minutes and get it really good and combined on medium. Okay, so while that's doing, we put 2 cups of gluten-free flour, of course, and she suggests King Arthur flour, which I had some, so I went with her. Then 1/4 of a cup of cornstarch, 2 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to whisk this together. And it's just about as easy as that. Then we're going to, when 2 minutes has gone by, we're going to add this mixture to this mixture, and we're going to add a cup of milk with it at the same time, kind of alternately adding the flour mixture and the milk. And that'll be it for our cake batter. See how easy that is? Alright, I'm going to let this finish and then we'll be right back. Okay, so the wet mixture has been mixing for 2 minutes, and I've whisked the flour mixture together, and then we have a cup of milk. So she says you're going to alternately add the dry mixture to the mixing bowl alternating with the milk. So and then it'll be done. So I'm not even measuring. Let's just put some in there. And I did have to get a not special, but a different mixing bowl and paddle, because it says for Poppy, since he's gluten-free, because it says you're supposed to use different bowls, utensils, everything when you have celiac. This is a whole new world for us. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So I've got that mixed very quickly, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of milk. And it says just until mixed together, just until blended, so you don't want to keep doing it because it can make it tough. Okay. A little bit more flour, a little bit more milk. And then I'm just going to add the rest of the flour mixture. And then I'll finish with the milk, and then we'll put that, I'm going to do it in 9-inch pans that I have sprayed with the baking spray. It has flour added in it, and I've never had any problem getting my cakes out of the pans when I use that. Okay, finish with the milk. Again, this is my first attempt at a gluten-free cake from scratch. I have tried the yellow cake mix from a box, the gluten-free, and it was really good. I mean, so if this does not turn out good, I'm just going to whip one of those out and do that, and we'll call it a day. But the caramel frosting is gluten-free anyway. It is so delicious, so I can't wait to show you how to make that, because you can put that just on a regular cake, and it's, man, it's my favorite kind of cake too. Poppy asks for it every year. Okay, I'm going to divide this, just eyeballing it. You can get your food, what's the weight thing called where you measure the weight of food? I'm getting so old. I can't remember what things are called anymore. Okay. Put this in the oven, she said, for 9-inch, 28 to 30 minutes, until it's like golden brown on top, until you do the toothpick test, where you do the toothpick, poke the toothpick in the middle, if it comes out clean, then you're good to go. So I'm going to put this in the oven, cross my fingers, and hope that this turns out as good as I think it's going to. It looks like it's going to be really good. Okay, so now for my favorite part, the caramel frosting. So good. Let me tell you what the ingredients are, and of course I'll have them all listed at the bottom, but so her recipe calls for 2 cups of powdered sugar, 1/2 cup of unsalted butter, a cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of milk, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, that makes 1 batch of caramel icing, but who needs 1 when you can make 2? It's so delicious, and I like to make designs around the cake and all of that, so I'm doubling that. So I've got in here right now 2 cups of packed brown sugar and a cup of butter, and so you mix this together on the stove top, and you keep stirring it the whole time, and you're going to keep stirring until it's real good and mixed exactly together. And I wish you could see this, but what happens is the butter kind of stays on top, and it's just kind of liquidy on top of the brown sugar. So you keep stirring until it incorporates itself in there, and then we are going to add the milk and let it bubble a little bit for a couple of minutes. See, okay, so now the butter's kind of going more into the brown sugar now. So this takes about 3 minutes, and I had it going before I started the video, so it shouldn't take that long. Now, okay, so it's starting to bubble a little, so I'm gonna slowly add the milk to it, because you see that it can splash and bubble, so just add a little bit at a time. Y'all, I'm telling you, this is so good. If there's any left to put on the cake, we're gonna be lucky. Okay, so we keep stirring it. Let it bubble for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add it to the mixing bowl, and we're going to add the powdered sugar, but we let it cool just a little bit. Let me turn this down. We let it cool just a little bit before adding the sugar, or otherwise it would just melt the sugar. So we're going to let it cool to where it's just warm and not boiling hot like this. And it doesn't take long. And then we'll add the powdered sugar to it and the vanilla, and then you want to be sure to go ahead and ice it while it's still warm, because caramel icing freezes up real quickly. So you want to get it iced before it gets cooled down all the way. And I have split, like I've got 2 9-inch cakes, and I have split it in 2 so that I have like 4 layers, because this is so good that I want it I want more of it on the cake. So, okay, so I'm taking this off because it's good and bubbly and it's been on there a couple of minutes. And like I said, then I'm going to add it to the mixing bowl. We're going to add the powdered sugar to it, put in the vanilla, mix it up just until, I think she said just until it's good and smooth. Okay, so she says that once I pour it in here, it'll be about 5 minutes before we add the sugar so that it can cool down enough to add the sugar without melting it. Then we're going to put the sugar in there a cup at a time, mix it on medium, then put in the vanilla, and keep beating for 3 minutes until it gets fluffy and forms soft peaks when you pull the beater up. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll ice the cake. Which, by the way, I tasted just a little bit of that cake, of the gluten-free cake. It is so good. It is like, truly, it's delicious. It's not good for a gluten-free cake. It is good. I mean, I would make this and eat this. I can't tell a difference. So anyway, I'm excited about that. My first go at that. So that was a success. 2 thumbs up. So I can't wait for Poppy to try it all put together. All right, be right back. Okay, so it took about 7 minutes for it to cool down to where I wanted it to be. Warm, not hot. And so then I've added most of my powdered sugar already, mixing bowl. So now I'm going to add the last of it. Then I'll add the vanilla. And she said to let it mix for about 3 minutes on medium. So add my vanilla, and I keep saying I'm going to make a video about homemade vanilla, and I have a funny story, so I can't wait to tell you about my vanilla story. But okay, so I'm gonna let that mix for about 3 minutes, and then we'll decorate the cake. Okay, it's mixed. Come here, Poppy, for a second. You've got to try this. Well, I haven't even tried it. Caramel icing.
All right, that's delicious. Glad my grandkids aren't here so they get to lick the spoon. I do.
Is that not so good?
It's great. Good job, Miji.
Okay. Okay, so you've got a bowl full of caramel. Just gonna do some on the top of, like I said, I've split them in half just so I can have more caramel in between the layers. That's why I doubled the recipe too. And that still doesn't even look like a whole lot of icing, but we'll see. Okay, so do that, and like I said, you need to do this just as soon as you get it all mixed, because otherwise it's gonna harden up really quickly. You won't be able to frost it. It's ugly, sorry. When you try to frost a caramel cake that's cooled down, it makes it real rough looking. It's not smooth at all. Oh, I can't wait for this. Okay, put a third layer on. Layer. even. Look how moist this cake looks, even though it's gluten-free. I'm so happy the way that turned out. Okay, so I make sure I've got a good bit around the edges because I'm gonna go down the sides with what I've got on the edge right here. Just kind of pull it down. Make sure the sides get some love. We'll keep doing this all the way around. Caramel cake always makes me a little nervous because I know how it gets when it cools off. So I feel like I gotta do this so fast. But it is so worth it. It's one of my favorite cakes ever. And I'm always glad Poppy asked for it. So that way on my birthday's a couple of weeks before his, I can get something different because I know a caramel cake's coming. But it's already starting to get a little stiff. Few little designs, little waves, little peaks at the top. I've got some more. I might just do the sides a little bit more. Can't waste the icing. It's a little lighter than normal, but it tastes delicious. Be perfect with homemade ice cream. Then we'll go into a deep diabetic sleep tonight. Dream happy sugar dreams. See, okay. I'm messing it up because it's too cool. Do this. I might just do this. That'd be good. Makes it look a little fancier. Okay, that is done, and I cannot wait to eat that. Kind of straighten it up a little bit. Yum. All right, we'll tell you how it is all together after we cut into it.